Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into the story. Stay tuned for the next part of this story, where things get complicated and the truth begins to surface. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on the next chapter. The night passed by quickly, with Sarah still trying to shake off the awkwardness of her mistaken identity. She could still feel the warmth of Liam's smile, his calm demeanor, and the way he had made her feel comfortable despite the tension in the air. It was as if the world had slipped away for a brief moment, and all that mattered was their conversation. She wasn't sure what had come over her, but there was something about him that made her want to stay, to linger in his presence longer than the evening required. And yet, she knew it was all a facade, a temporary arrangement that would be over by the end of the night. As Sarah walked back to her small apartment after the gala, her mind raced. She had made a decision that night, one she hadn't planned on making. She had agreed to this crazy contract without giving it much thought. And now, she was left questioning everything. Was it just about the money, or was there something more to this connection with Liam? She could barely keep up with her own thoughts. The whole thing felt like a dream she would wake up from any moment, only to find herself back in her reality, struggling, alone, and desperate. The next day, Sarah found herself standing at the door to the gallery she had always dreamed of opening. She had been here countless times before, staring at the building, imagining what it could become, but today, it felt different. She had enough money now, but was it worth it? The thought of working with Liam and continuing this arranged marriage felt too strange, too unreal. She felt like a puppet being pulled by invisible strings. But the money would help, right? She could still pursue her dreams. Or could she? As she walked past the gallery's door, she glanced at the sign, the logo she had drawn herself. It wasn't just a dream anymore. It was becoming a reality, something she had worked so hard for. And yet, every step she took in her life seemed to lead her further away from that dream, toward a new path she never could have imagined, a path involving Liam Parker. Later that evening, she received a text from him. It was short and simple. Dinner tomorrow. I want to talk. Her stomach tightened. He had been polite, even charming, the night before, but the last thing she wanted now was to get any deeper into this arrangement. But she couldn't ignore it. He had already paid for her to be there. He was offering something beyond just money, beyond just the business deal they had made. She had to face the reality of what was happening. The next day, Sarah arrived at the restaurant, unsure of what to expect. The last time she had been here, it had been a public affair, full of strangers. This time, the tables were set for just the two of them. Liam was already there, waiting. He greeted her with a warm smile. But this time, there was something more to it. Something in his eyes that made her feel like she had walked into a completely different world. It was the kind of world where every detail mattered, where appearances were everything. I know this isn't exactly what you signed up for, Liam said, breaking the silence as she sat down across from him. But I wanted to ask you to reconsider. Sarah frowned, unsure of what he meant. Reconsider? What do you mean? He leaned in slightly, his voice steady but urgent. I've been thinking about our arrangement. It's not just about business for me anymore. There's something real here, something I can't ignore. He paused, as if unsure of how to continue. I know this started as a contract, but I want you to know it doesn't have to stay that way. If you're willing, I'd like to see where this could go, outside of the deal. For a moment, Sarah didn't know what to say. The words hung in the air like a weight. She had never imagined this kind of conversation, especially not with a man like Liam. He was a millionaire, a CEO, everything she was supposed to stay away from. She had no right to be here, no right to even dream of something real with him. But there was something in the way he was looking at her, something vulnerable. He was serious. Liam, she started, her voice shaky. I don't know. This wasn't supposed to be real. I don't want to get hurt. She could feel the walls she had built around herself begin to crack. He nodded slowly, his gaze softening. I understand. But I can't pretend that what I feel isn't real. I've been thinking about you since last night, since the moment we met. I know you probably think I'm crazy, but I can't shake the feeling that there's something more here. Something worth exploring. Sarah looked down, her mind a whirlwind. The money, the gallery, it all seemed so insignificant now. The things she had fought for, struggled for, seemed less important compared to what was unfolding between them. Was this really a chance for something real? Or was she just another person in his life that he could dismiss once the deal was over? The silence stretched on between them, heavy with unspoken words. Sarah finally looked up, meeting his eyes. "What if it doesn't work out?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Liam leaned back in his chair, considering her words carefully. "What if it does?" he replied softly. For the first time, Sarah felt the weight of the choice in front of her. It wasn't just about the money or the gallery. It was about her heart, her future, and whether she was ready to take a leap into the unknown. Stay tuned for the next part of this story as Sarah faces a decision that will change everything. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on the next chapter. The days passed in a blur for Sarah. She had spent so much time thinking about the conversation with Liam, replaying his words in her mind over and over again. Could it be real? Could she actually consider letting this man, this stranger, into her life in a way that went beyond the contract they had signed? It wasn't supposed to happen like this. It was all supposed to be temporary, a simple arrangement. But now, everything was different. The next week, Liam invited her to another event, a charity gala this time. He said it was important, that they could both benefit from the exposure. Sarah hesitated at first, the doubt still lingering in her chest. Was she just a pawn in his world of business and appearances? Or was he being honest? Could she trust him? And more importantly, could she trust herself? She agreed to go, telling herself it would be one more night, one more part of the deal. When Sarah arrived at the venue, the grand ballroom shimmered with lights and luxury. She couldn't help but feel like a fish out of water, surrounded by men and women in designer gowns and suits, all with polished smiles and perfect manners. But then, she saw Liam standing near the stage, looking every bit the part of the powerful CEO he was. His broad shoulders filled out his tailored suit, and his dark hair was neatly combed back. He looked even more striking than the last time they had met. He caught her gaze across the room, and his lips curved into a smile. There was something about it that felt more genuine this time. She made her way over to him, trying to steady her nerves. When he saw her approach, his smile grew wider. "You look beautiful," he said, his voice low and sincere. Sarah's heart fluttered at the compliment, and for the first time, she realized just how easy it had been to talk to him, how natural the connection between them had become. "Thank you," she replied, her voice a little shaky. "You clean up well yourself." They walked through the crowd together, making small talk with guests, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was changing between them. Liam's presence was commanding, but it wasn't just his power that drew her in. There was an authenticity in his eyes that hadn't been there before, and the more they spoke, the more she realized how different he was from the image she had built up in her mind. He wasn't just the cold, calculating businessman. He had a depth to him, one that she hadn't seen in anyone else. It made her question the reasons she had been so guarded, so afraid of letting someone like him in. As the evening wore on, they stepped outside for some fresh air. The cool night breeze brushed against Sarah's skin as she stood next to Liam on the balcony. Below, the city stretched out, its lights twinkling in the distance. "Sarah," Liam began, his voice serious. "I know this is all moving quickly, and I understand if you need time. But I want you to know that I'm not just offering you a contract anymore. This thing between us, it's not just business." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She turned to face him, her breath catching in her throat. "What do you mean?" Liam looked at her for a moment, his expression softening. "I mean that I'm starting to care about you, more than I thought I would." He paused, taking a deep breath. "I've been thinking about us, and I want to see where this could go. I don't want to hide behind this contract anymore." Sarah felt the weight of his words sink in. Could it be true? Could he really care about her? And if he did, what did that mean for her? She had entered this deal with so many walls around her heart. She'd been so determined to protect herself, but now, it felt like those walls were crumbling, piece by piece. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to make sense of it all. "I don't know if I can trust this," she said quietly. "I've been hurt before, Liam. I don't want to open up and then have everything fall apart." Liam stepped closer, his hand resting gently on her arm. "I know," he said softly, "and I'm not asking you to just jump in without thinking. But I want you to know that I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. We can take this slow, but I want to be real with you. No more pretending. For a moment, Sarah simply stood there, lost in the intensity of his words. Could this be the moment she had been waiting for? The moment she stopped running from her own feelings, from the possibility of something more? She looked up at Liam, his expression filled with honesty and sincerity. Slowly, she nodded. Okay, she whispered. I'll give this a chance. I'll give you a chance. The tension in the air seemed to dissolve, replaced by a sense of relief. For the first time in a long time, Sarah felt like she wasn't alone in this. Liam had opened up to her, and in that moment, she realized that maybe, just maybe, they both had something worth fighting for. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this story, where Sarah faces even greater challenges and decisions that could change her future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with the next part of the journey. The days that followed felt like a blur for Sarah. She had made the decision to trust Liam, but every moment since then felt like walking a tightrope, unsure of where the next step would take her. The connection between them had grown stronger, but so had her doubts. She found herself questioning every interaction, every word he said, wondering if it was real or just another part of the agreement they had made. She had let herself feel something for him, but that only made the fear of getting hurt even more real. One evening, after a long day of running errands and dealing with the stress of her job, Sarah arrived home to find a package waiting at her doorstep. It was large and neatly wrapped, with a note attached. She recognized the handwriting instantly. It was from Liam. Her heart skipped a beat as she carefully opened the box. Inside was a beautiful leather-bound sketchbook, the kind she had always dreamed of owning. There was also a small note tucked inside, which read, "For the artist who still sees the world through her dreams. Liam." Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she held the sketchbook in her hands. She had always wanted to be an artist, to express herself through her drawings, but life had always gotten in the way. The gallery, her dream, was still a distant hope, one she wasn't sure she would ever achieve. But this felt like something different. It felt like a sign that maybe, just maybe, she could make her dreams come true. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, interrupting her thoughts. It was a message from Liam. "I hope you like the gift. I've been thinking about you. I know things have moved fast, and I just wanted to show you that I care. Let's talk tonight if you're free." Sarah stared at the screen for a moment, feeling a swirl of emotions. It was one thing to receive a gift, but this felt like a turning point. Was Liam really starting to care about her in a way that was beyond the arrangement? Or was this another attempt to keep her in his world of appearances, a world she had never truly belonged to? That evening, they met at a cozy little cafe, away from the glitz and glamour of the high society events they had attended together. The atmosphere was relaxed, warm, with soft lighting and the smell of freshly brewed coffee in the air. Liam was already there when Sarah arrived, waiting with a small smile on his face. He stood up as she walked in, and for a moment, everything else faded away. It was just the two of them. "Hey," Liam said softly, his voice surprisingly calm. "I'm glad you came." Sarah smiled, but there was a hesitation in her eyes. "You really didn't have to do that," she said, gesturing to the sketchbook. "I appreciate it, but why? I mean, we agreed this was just a contract." Liam leaned forward, his gaze steady. "I know we made a deal," he said, his voice low and sincere. "But I'm starting to think that maybe, just maybe, I'm not the only one who's been pretending." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected him to say that, not so bluntly. But there it was, out in the open. The unspoken truth between them was finally being addressed. "I'm not pretending anymore, Sarah," Liam continued, his eyes never leaving hers. "This thing between us, it's real. I care about you. I'm not asking for anything more than the chance to show you that. No contracts, no games, just us." Her breath caught in her throat. He was being honest, or at least, he seemed to be. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt the walls around her heart begin to crumble, just a little. But then the doubts crept in again. Was she really ready for this? Could she trust him? Could she trust herself? "Liam," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know if I can do this. I've been hurt before. I've spent so long building up these walls. I'm not sure if I even know how to let them down." Liam reached across the table, his hand gently resting on hers. "You don't have to let them down all at once," he said softly. "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." For a moment, Sarah just sat there, looking at their hands together, the warmth of his touch grounding her in a way she hadn't expected. She wasn't ready to give herself fully to him, but maybe, just maybe, she could start to let herself feel. One step at a time. They talked for hours that night, the conversation flowing easily between them. There were no pretenses, no contract hanging over their heads. Just two people, getting to know each other in a way they never had before. By the end of the evening, Sarah found herself smiling, genuinely smiling, for the first time in what felt like forever. As they stood up to leave, Liam smiled at her, his eyes warm with sincerity. "I meant what I said, Sarah. Take your time, but know that I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Sarah nodded, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. She wasn't sure where this would lead, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she had a real chance at happiness. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this story, as Sarah faces more challenges and decisions that will change everything. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with the next part of the journey. The days that followed felt like a mix of uncertainty and hope for Sarah. She had given herself permission to trust Liam, to let him in just a little, but every new step they took together was a test. She kept telling herself that it was still just part of the arrangement, just part of the deal. But deep down, she knew she was starting to feel more than she ever expected. Liam had been patient, respectful of her boundaries, but his kindness and sincerity were starting to break down the walls she had spent so long building. And the more they spent time together, the harder it was for her to deny the connection that was forming between them. It had been a week since their conversation at the cafe, and things were still moving forward, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the edge of something big. The more she thought about Liam, the more she realized that he wasn't just a businessman or a billionaire. He was a person, someone who cared, who wanted to be with her, not because of the contract they had signed, but because he saw something in her, something real. One afternoon, as she was finishing up her shift at the cafe, Sarah received a call from Liam. It wasn't unusual for him to reach out, but today, there was an urgency in his voice that caught her off guard. "Sarah," Liam said quickly, his voice tense. "I need to see you. There's something important we need to talk about." Her heart skipped a beat. "What's going on?" "It's complicated. Just meet me at my place. I'll explain everything when you get here." She didn't have to ask twice. Within the hour, Sarah found herself standing in front of Liam's penthouse, the sleek glass building towering above her. The last time she had been here, it had been a business arrangement, nothing more. But now, her heart was racing as she walked through the door. She had no idea what he was going to tell her, but she knew it wasn't just another social event or business meeting. When she entered, Liam was waiting for her by the window, looking out at the city below. He turned when he heard her footsteps, his expression serious but not cold. "Come in," he said softly, his voice calm. "We need to talk." She stepped inside, trying to read the expression on his face. It was unlike anything she had seen before. There was no smile, no friendly gesture, just a quiet intensity. Sarah had learned by now that when Liam was serious, it wasn't something to take lightly. "What's going on?" Sarah asked, her voice betraying the anxiety she was trying to hide. Liam took a deep breath before answering. "There's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you a while ago. I've been working on a business deal for months now. It's huge, it could change everything. But there's a catch. I need someone I can trust, someone who knows how to deal with pressure, someone who understands the stakes." Sarah raised an eyebrow, sensing that the conversation was taking a turn she didn't expect. "And you're asking me?" He nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. "Yes, I need you, Sarah. I can't do this without you. Not just because you're good at what you do, but because I trust you. I care about you. This isn't just about business anymore. It's about us. It's about something real." Her mind raced. This wasn't part of the plan. This wasn't part of the contract they had agreed on. She had signed up for the money, for the temporary arrangement. But now, he was asking her for something more. "Liam," she said, her voice quiet but firm, "I don't know if I can do this. I've spent so much time building walls around myself, and now you want me to throw everything away and trust you." Liam walked toward her, his gaze soft but intense. "I'm not asking you to throw everything away. I'm asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to take a leap of faith, just like I did when I trusted you with this arrangement. We both took a chance when we agreed to this. But now, I'm asking you to take a chance on something that could be even bigger than either of us imagined." Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she absorbed his words. This wasn't just about money anymore. It wasn't just about business deals and contracts. It was about trust, about love, about taking a chance on a future they could build together. She closed her eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. Could she really do this? Could she let herself fall for him, knowing how fragile everything was? She wasn't sure, but for the first time, she felt like she had to try. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam reached out, gently taking her hand in his. I know, but we don't have to do this alone. We can take it one step at a time, together. She looked up at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. Maybe, just maybe, she was ready to take that first step. Maybe it was time to stop running from what could be the best thing that had ever happened to her. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this story, as Sarah makes a decision that could change everything. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with the journey. The days following Liam's confession were a whirlwind for Sarah. She had made the decision to trust him, to take a leap of faith, but now, everything felt so much more real. She found herself questioning every moment, wondering if she was doing the right thing. Was she really ready for this? Could she really let herself fall for him? But every time she saw him, every time their eyes met, the doubts faded, if only for a moment. Liam was different, and he had proven that to her in ways she hadn't expected. Now, they were both walking this uncertain path together, unsure of where it would lead, but committed to finding out. It was a Thursday afternoon when the next test came. Sarah had been busy at the cafe, trying to distract herself from the whirlwind of thoughts in her head. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Liam. I need you to come by the office. It's urgent. Can you make it? Her heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure what he meant by urgent, but she didn't hesitate. She texted back, I'll be there in 20. It didn't take long for her to grab her things and make her way to his office, her mind racing with possibilities. When she arrived at his office, she was greeted by the usual polished decor, sleek, modern, and cold. Liam was at his desk, papers scattered around him, his brow furrowed in concentration. As soon as he saw her walk in, he stood up, his expression softening. Thanks for coming, he said, his voice low but filled with relief. I need your help with something. A big meeting is coming up, and I need someone I can rely on. Someone who won't be intimidated by the pressure. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She had never seen Liam like this, so vulnerable, so honest. It was clear that this wasn't just about business anymore. This was about him trusting her in ways he hadn't before. What do you need me to do? Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the nervousness bubbling inside her. Liam hesitated for a moment, his eyes searching hers. I need you to help me with a presentation tomorrow. It's a big deal, and I'm not sure I can handle it on my own. I want you there, standing by my side. No pretending, no contracts, just you and me. I trust you, Sarah. His words hit her like a wave. He was asking her to be a part of something important, something real. It wasn't about the arrangement anymore. It was about their future together. And, for the first time, Sarah felt like she was truly stepping into that future with him. Okay, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll be there. The next day, Sarah found herself standing next to Liam in a sleek, high-rise boardroom, surrounded by powerful executives and potential investors. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she kept her composure. She could feel the weight of Liam's gaze on her as they prepared to present. He had asked her to stand by his side, and now, she had to prove that she was more than just someone playing a role. She was his partner, his equal. The meeting began, and Liam took the lead, confidently presenting their business proposal. But Sarah could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands gripped the edges of the table. She could sense the pressure he was under. And when it was her turn to speak, she took a deep breath, meeting the eyes of the executives around the table. I've worked closely with Liam on this project, Sarah began, her voice clear and steady. And I believe in what we're building. This isn't just another business venture. This is something that can change everything, not just for us, but for everyone involved. We're not asking for your trust. We're showing you that we've earned it. For a moment, the room was silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Then, slowly, the executives began to nod, some even exchanging impressed glances. Liam's gaze softened as he looked at her, his pride evident. It wasn't just about the business anymore. It was about how far they had come together, how much they had learned to trust one another. As the meeting concluded and the investors filed out, Liam turned to Sarah, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You did it. You were incredible," he said, his voice filled with awe. She smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "We did it. Together." Later that evening, as they sat together in his penthouse, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. From the awkward first meeting to this moment, where they had proven to themselves and to others that they were capable of so much more than they had ever imagined. Liam reached across the table, his hand gently brushing hers. "Sarah, I know we're still figuring this out, but I want you to know something. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm not just talking about the deal. I want to see where this goes, where we go." Sarah looked at him, her heart full. This wasn't just about business anymore. This was about love, trust, and building something together. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one that felt real, one that felt right. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this story as Sarah and Liam face new challenges and decisions that could change their lives forever. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with the journey. The days following their successful presentation felt like a turning point for Sarah and Liam. For the first time, Sarah wasn't just a bystander in Liam's world. She was becoming a part of it. Her confidence had grown, and she realized how much she had changed since they first met. It wasn't just the business deal anymore. It was about something deeper, something real. But with every step forward, the pressure was mounting. The world they were both navigating was complicated, and Sarah couldn't help but wonder if they were rushing too fast into something neither of them fully understood. One evening, after a long day at the office, Liam called her. "Can you meet me at the gallery? I need to talk to you about something." His voice sounded serious, and it made Sarah's heart race. She agreed immediately and headed over to the gallery where she had spent so many hours dreaming of creating something beautiful. It was still a work in progress, but it was hers, a piece of her future. When Sarah arrived, Liam was standing near the center of the space, his back to her as he stared at the empty walls. The soft light from the pendant lamps cast long shadows across the room, giving the space a quiet, almost intimate feel. "Hey," Sarah said, walking over to him. "What's going on? You seemed kind of urgent on the phone." Liam turned to face her, his expression more serious than she had ever seen it. "I've been thinking," he began, his voice low, "about everything. About us. About what this is becoming." He paused, as though weighing his words carefully. "And I think it's time we make a decision. We've been playing it safe, but I don't want to hold back anymore. I'm all in, Sarah. I want this. I want us." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She had always known that things were moving fast, but hearing him say it out loud made her realize just how much had changed in such a short time. She had gotten used to the idea of the arrangement, of the contract that had brought them together, but now she was being asked to take another leap, one that would leave her no turning back. "Liam, she started, but her words faltered. She had never imagined this kind of conversation. The truth was, she was scared. She had let herself feel things for him, things she hadn't planned on feeling. And now, here they were, standing at the edge of something that could either be beautiful or break them both. Liam took a step closer, his eyes soft with concern. "I'm not asking for anything right now," he said. "I just want you to know that I'm here. I'm ready to build something with you. But I need to know if you're ready too." For a moment, Sarah just stood there, staring at him. She could feel the weight of the choice pressing on her, and the thought of stepping into the unknown was terrifying. But as she looked at him, really looked at him, she realized that she didn't want to walk away. She didn't want to walk away from him. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I want this too," she said, her voice stronger now, more certain. "I don't know what's going to happen, but I want to give it a chance. I want to see where this can go. Together." Liam smiled, the tension in his shoulders easing. "Then we'll figure it out. Together," he said, his voice filled with warmth and certainty. As they stood there in the gallery, surrounded by the dream that Sarah had worked so hard to create, she realized that they were both at the beginning of something new. This wasn't just about business deals or contracts anymore. It was about a future, her future, his future, and they were ready to face it, hand in hand. Stay tuned for the next part of this story as Sarah and Liam continue to navigate the challenges ahead. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with their journey. Weeks passed, and as time moved on, Sarah and Liam's relationship continued to evolve. What started as a business arrangement had slowly transformed into something neither of them had expected, something deeper, more meaningful. They had shared moments of vulnerability, laughter, and quiet understanding. And though there were still moments of uncertainty, they were no longer pretending. The walls that Sarah had spent years building were slowly crumbling. And for the first time in a long time, she felt free, free to be herself, free to embrace the future they were building together. But just when things seemed to be going perfectly, reality came knocking. It happened one afternoon when Sarah was at the gallery, adjusting the artwork for an upcoming exhibition. Her phone buzzed, and when she glanced down, her stomach sank. It was a message from Liam. "We need to talk. Call me as soon as you can." Her heart raced. The message was simple, but there was an urgency in his words that she couldn't ignore. She immediately dialed his number, her fingers trembling as she waited for him to pick up. "Liam," she said when he answered. "What's going on?" His voice was low and strained. "I just got off the phone with my lawyer. There's a complication with the business deal we've been working on. The investors, they're pulling out. The deal is falling apart." Sarah. Her breath caught in her throat. "What? How could that happen?" "I don't know," Liam replied, frustration and worry thick in his voice. "They're saying it's too risky, and now everything we've worked for is on the line. I'm sorry, but it looks like the whole thing might collapse." Sarah felt the world shift beneath her feet. The reality of their situation was crashing down on her. She had known that their future was uncertain, but this felt like a blow she hadn't prepared for. She could hear the worry in Liam's voice, but she also felt her own panic rising inside her. Everything they had been building was suddenly in jeopardy. "Liam, we'll figure it out," Sarah said, her voice trembling but firm. "This isn't over yet. We can find another way." Liam sighed, his voice heavy. "I don't know, Sarah. I've been thinking, and maybe this is just too much for us. Maybe we're in over our heads." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Sarah could hear Liam breathing, but the words he had just said hung in the air, cold and uncertain. She realized in that moment that this wasn't just about the business anymore. It wasn't just about the gallery, the deal, or the future they had dreamed of. It was about them, about what they meant to each other. "Liam," she finally said, her voice soft but steady. "I know this is hard, and I know everything feels like it's falling apart right now. But I want you to know something. I'm not going anywhere. We can't let this break us. We've already come so far." Liam's voice softened. "But what if it's not enough? What if we've already lost?" Sarah took a deep breath, trying to keep herself calm. "What we've built is real. It's more than just the money, the gallery, the deal. It's us. And we've already proven that we can face whatever comes our way. Don't give up now. Don't give up on us." There was a long pause before Liam spoke again. "You're right," he said, his voice quieter now, filled with relief. "I don't want to give up. I've just been so scared, Sarah. I've never done anything like this before. But I'm willing to try. With you. Together. We'll figure it out," Sarah replied, her heart lifting as she spoke the words she needed to hear. "We'll find a way. You and me. No matter what happens." The conversation ended on a hopeful note, but Sarah knew that things weren't over yet. There were still challenges ahead, but she also knew that they would face them together. With every step, they were building something real, something worth fighting for. Stay tuned for the next chapter of this journey as Sarah and Liam face even more challenges and make decisions that will change the course of their future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with the next part of the story. The weeks following their conversation were filled with tension, but also determination. Sarah and Liam had decided to fight for their future, no matter what obstacles lay ahead. They worked tirelessly to secure new investors, rework the proposal, and keep the dream alive. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when doubt crept in, but every time Sarah looked at Liam, she saw the same resolve in his eyes. They were in this together. Slowly but surely, the pieces began to fall into place. They brought in new partners, restructured the deal, and the project started to look promising once again. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Liam and Sarah sat together in the penthouse, the city lights twinkling in the distance. They had just received word that the deal had been approved, and the investors were on board. The weight of everything they had been working for, the gallery, the business, their future, was now within reach. But as they sat there, neither of them spoke at first. It was as if they both needed a moment to process the journey they had been on, how far they had come. Finally, Liam broke the silence, his voice soft but full of emotion. We did it, Sarah. We really did it. Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with pride. We did. Together. She looked at him, and for the first time, she felt completely at peace. This wasn't just about a business deal or a gallery anymore. It was about their shared journey, the trust they had built, and the love that had grown between them. They had started this journey as two people in need of something. Sarah needing stability and a chance to pursue her dreams, and Liam needing someone to believe in him beyond his wealth and success. But now, they had something far more precious. A bond built on trust, mutual respect, and love. Liam reached for her hand, his grip firm yet gentle. I'm not just talking about the business, Sarah. I'm talking about us. I know we've had our doubts, and we've faced challenges, but I believe in what we have. I want to keep building this life with you, side by side. Sarah's eyes softened as she looked at him, the weight of his words sinking in. I want that too, Liam. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. There was a quiet moment as they held each other's gaze, the world outside fading away. They had both been through so much, facing their fears, confronting their insecurities. But now, standing together, they knew they had overcome it all. Together, they had found something real. As the night continued, they talked about their plans for the future, the gallery, the business, and a life filled with new opportunities. They didn't know exactly what the future held, but they knew they would face it together, supporting each other. Every step of the way. The next day, they celebrated their success with the team, but for Sarah and Liam, the real victory wasn't in the deal. It was in the love they had found amidst the chaos. As they stood together, looking out at the city that had once felt so overwhelming, they realized that their journey was just beginning. It wasn't about contracts or business ventures anymore. It was about the life they were going to build, the future they would create side by side. As they walked hand in hand into this new chapter of their lives, they both knew that whatever came next, they had already won. They had each other, and that was all they needed. Stay tuned for future stories about Sarah and Liam's journey, as they continue to build their dreams and face new challenges together. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on their journey.